Hi guys, so Boris Johnson was interviewed by Andrew Marr on the Andrew Marr show from the BBC. Now, I can't show you the video because of copyright issues, but I will let you listen to this snippet of audio. Now, in the interview, Boris Johnson was talking about many issues, and in particular about Scottish independence, which is going to be a big issue this year. Now, Andrew Marr asked the question in a very interesting way. He asked it from the point of view of a Scottish voter. Unfortunately for him, he didn't stop there and continued to dig deeper, which I think made the situation much worse. So let's hear this car crash of an interview.
I think that obviously the most important thing is the referendum that you had in 2014, which was a very important...
Before Brexit and before the pandemic, things have changed. And a lot of people want to leave the UK.
I mean, life moves on, things change. I don't if you're saying that you would like to have another referendum...
This Scottish voter would like another referendum,
okay, well,
and wants the Democrat... He's only got a vote. So he wants to use that vote to allow it to happen. How can they do that?
I think the only point I would make is that referendums, in my experience, direct experience in this country, are not particularly jolly events. They
change things.
They don't have a notably unifying force in the national mood. They should be only once in a generation. And I think that was what.
Well, we'll come to Brexit in a second. But what is different? What is different about the English wanting to leave the EU and having a referendum and being allowed to do that, and Scotland wanting to leave the UK and doing exactly the same thing? What's the difference?
The difference is that we had a referendum in 1975, and we then had another one in 2016. That seems to be about the right sort of gap.
All right,
how about that?
Okay, there are a few things to talk about here. So first of all, this once-in-a-generation response to Scottish independence requests. Alex Salmond was the SNP leader during the first request for a referendum. Alex Salmond is no longer the leader of the SNP. So whatever the SNP requested back in 2014 cannot be used as a stick to beat the SNP in 2020. Now, manifestos change. As I've said in other videos, the Conservative Party used to be pro-European. Now they're anti-European. Their manifesto changed. Why can the SNP's manifesto not change? But that argument is still invalid because it's not just the SNP that's asking for a second referendum. Other independence movements are asking for one, and even the Green Party supports Scottish independence. So it's frankly disingenuous dismissing requests for independence because of something someone said 6 years ago. Now, I was truly taken aback when Boris Johnson described referendums as divisive, as something that separates people, that doesn't bring people together. They're not unifying. Boris Johnson criticizing a referendum. That was just gold. The fact that he would say, the Brexit referendum was a demonstration of democracy. But when it comes to the Scottish people asking for a referendum, well, we don't really like those things because they're very divisive. I've said this before. The Scottish people were tricked into voting to stay in the Union under the threat of Brexit. They decided to go along with the leaders at the time, the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Conservatives, and vote to stay in the Union. Then they were basically thrown under a bus by the Conservative Party because of rumblings within their party, the yahoos within their party who wanted a referendum to leave the European Union. They got what they wanted. And the Scottish people, after that, voted to stay in the European Union, and their request was ignored. The Scottish government, under the SNP, attempted to mitigate the damage of Brexit by organising meetings with Boris Johnson and his government. Those requests were ignored. And now Boris Johnson has the brass face to turn around and say, referendums are divisive, they're not unifying, we shouldn't really have them. Look, I have said before, if Boris Johnson truly believes that the Union is strong, if Jacob Rees-Mogg believes that the Union is strong, if the Conservative Party, both in England and in Scotland, believe that the Union is strong, they should welcome a second referendum. It would demonstrate that the Union is strong. why is Boris Johnson running away from a referendum? He has talked before about the Brexit referendum being a demonstration of democracy, a clear example of democracy at work. So surely he would be supportive of a referendum in Scotland. Is it possible that he realises that the union is not strong, that the Conservative Party are not good at selling the union, that every time he speaks, he strengthens the call for independence? Now, I actually believe the latter doesn't get through Boris Johnson's skull because, he doesn't actually surround himself with people who convince him, Boris, you need to shut the hell up. The more you speak, the stronger Nicola Sturgeon looks. The more you speak on the pandemic, the stronger Keir Starmer looks. The more you talk about Scotland, the more people want Scotland to become an independent country. The Conservative Party, the Conservative and Unionist Party, look hellbent on destroying the United Kingdom. They've already started Northern Ireland on the road to reunification with the Republic of Ireland. In public, they seem to be convinced that they want Scotland to remain part of the Union. But as soon as Boris Johnson opens his mouth, as soon as the Conservative Party in Westminster denigrate, dismiss, ignore the requests from the Scottish people via their representatives in Westminster, they strengthen the push for independence. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think and what you thought about Boris Johnson's answers. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?